Hello everyone, welcome to this session with us. Here I have the show Breakfast with Pandemic, a podcast session where we share and talk about the current pandemic situation and share thoughts about the current coronavirus pandemic all over the world and here in Malaysia as well. So this pandemic we had been going through for more than 3 or 4 months for now, and of course we should start from where it all began. So first of all, I'd like to ask my friend here, Daresh, so how and why this virus began and how this virus emerged from this China, and how do you think this virus had spread it all around the world?
Firstly, the appeared in Wuhan, China at the beginning of December 2019. The source of the coronavirus is believed to be a wet market in Wuhan, which sold both dead and live animals, including fish and birds. Such market pose a heightened risk of viruses jumping from animals to humans because hygiene standards are difficult to maintain if live animals are being kept and butchered on site. Typically, they are also densely packed, allowing disease to spread from species to species. The animal source of COVID-19 has not yet been identified, but the original source is thought to be bats. Bats were not sold at the one market, but maybe they have infected live chickens or other animals sold there. Bats are host to a wide range of zoonotic viruses, including Ebola, HIV, and rabies.
Okay, so we heard that these wildlife animals could start a pandemic or can be the host for these deadly viruses. So do you think that this wildlife marketplace should be discarded from the current situation right now? Because even though this marketplace is actually provides a threat for the safety or the health safety of the people, but still people come to different parts of the world just to enjoy these exotic meals. But do you think this trading and consuming wildlife animals should be banned or restricted?
In my opinion, if we eat wildlife, we should practice good food safety and hygiene practices. We should not eat meat or products from sick animals and do not consume wild meat or uncooked organs or tissues. However, from a health perspective, and since a number of zoonotic pathogens have emerged in bats, it is advisable to stop eating bats. Bats are very tolerant and viruses, and this is why they carry a significantly higher proportion of zoonotic pathogens than other wildlife. Also, many bat species are threatened or endangered, making them off limits for hunting and illegal to use as a source of food. And also, about the wet market, it is considered as a critical areas where pathogens spill over between humans and wildlife. And then the animals in this market could allow the exchange of pathogens between wildlife and domestic species, which may then develop into new virus strains able to infect humans and livestock. So, to reduce the risk of zoonotic disease, we recommend to ensuring good hygiene and food safety measures, implementing international animal welfare standards, and also should enforce appropriate control in wildlife trade within the across countries. Yeah.
So we heard that, in your opinion, you said that these animals, we should practice a good hygiene, and also most probably we should avoid eating wildlife animals, especially bats, like you have mentioned. But there's also been rumors and news where this virus supposedly had been leaked from a lab in near Wuhan, China, where there's a biological lab which research on viruses. What do you think about these news and these rumors? Is it true, or do you think, what is your opinion about that?
For now, we are not sure about this news, but it could be a biological weapon that they have created they created this weapon for biological war. So, but we are not sure. We have no enough source for this news.
Okay, absolutely. I also agree that China wouldn't turn a biological weapon against their own country if, in this case, it was true. I hope, I hope not so. But so moving on, the thing that we are most curious about, as we are people, we are not authorities or governments. The most thing that concerns us is how do we get this virus? So how do we know that this virus has emerged on us? So actually, to simplify this, what are the symptoms to identify coronavirus on this COVID-19? What are your thoughts about that, Mr. Raman?
The symptoms. Firstly, there are three different parts, which is most common symptoms, less common symptoms, and serious symptoms. If we see about the most common symptoms, is a high fever, which is more than 40 degrees Celsius, dry cough, and tightness. And if we go to the less common symptoms, it's about sore throat, activities, and headache. And if we see about serious symptoms, which lead to difficulty in breathing or shortness of breath, chest pain and pressure, and also lost speech or movement.
Okay, so these are some critical symptoms, and some of the symptoms are usually occurs in normal fever. So it's extremely difficult, to think that you have coronavirus or to be easily scared that uh, you have this virus. But my suggestion would be, if you have serious symptoms, you should consider uh, seeing a medical person or seeing a doctor as soon as possible. But moving on, another important question that we people that we tend to ask is how this virus spreads, how it goes from one person to another. That is another question that I think should be answered. So, what are your opinions about that? Again, from Tavan.
Through research from biologists about the coronavirus, we can know about that it spreads through the transmitted from symptomatic people to others, which means people who are infected, they if they are close contact to others, uh, it spreads through the respiratory droplets or by contact with contaminated objects and surfaces. Yeah.
Yeah, so we see that this virus spreads, could be airborne, but actually it's just through the respiratory droplets. There have been news as well where this virus is airborne. So we have seen in the past few months that how this virus spreads, and the method it spreads, it's very quick and very efficient
Yeah.
for the part of the virus. But so of course our country have stepped in to handle this issue by implementing the MCO, or also known as the Movement Control Order program. So
Yeah.
what do you think, and how well this MCO was handled and implemented by Malaysia, the government of Malaysia over here?
I think it was handled very efficiently by Malaysian government because since they have known that coronavirus spreads very regularly through states, neighboring states, and all, and increasement of cases. So they have started the MCO, which is a lockdown period to citizen who they have to stay at home, and there is a special timing they have to go out and get their daily needs and all, and also they have implemented the uh, the steps and the prevention of steps from spreading of COVID-19, and mainly is people have to wear mask and N95 when they come out of their houses, which they have good is which they have to uh, meet people who are in close contact. And I think through this MCO period conducted by Malaysian government, I think it was efficient to enough uh, to prevent, not to prevent, to decrease the spreadness of COVID-19 through our country. Yeah,
So we have seen that this virus that spreads quickly has been handled magnificently by our country. But
yeah,
actually, coming back to that, how did the first case, or how did this virus started here in Malaysia? Coming back to that, how do you think this? How do we know? I mean,
yeah.
as Malaysian, we know that this virus has already spread here in Malaysia. But what was the starting point here in Malaysia for the virus?
Yeah, okay. For the starting point of the coronavirus case was it's because of the two travelers were detected from China. They arrived in Singapore on January 25th, uh, who was infected and through that our one Malaysian citizen who was a 40-year-old, he attended a meeting in Singapore and he was infected in that meeting. And when he came back to Malaysia, it was when he came back to home as well. I think it was infected his family members as well, and it spreads from his family members to his relatives and to others as well, which leads to the increasing of number of cases within weeks in Malaysia. Yeah,
So yeah, we have seen from that point on, the cases on Malaysia have increased drastically, and also now at this point it's starting to decrease, even though it's still a threat here in Malaysia.
yeah,
But moving on, we know that this virus is spreads quickly, and it does all this, brings all these symptoms, affects lives. So what are the ways to prevent, or how to handle this virus, and what are the precaution steps that we should take? I'll move on with Jeremy, where he can share his thoughts about the prevention and the precaution steps of this pandemic, of this virus.
Yes. So one of the common ways to prevent this from happening is like to wash your hands after you have done anything with hand sanitizer, or if you're near a sink and you have soap, you can wash your hands with water and soap. You have to maintain at least 1 meter of a distance between yourself and others, because as you know, when someone coughs or if they sneeze, the droplets from their cough or sneeze can actually contain the virus and might spread to you. And then when you also cough and sneeze accidentally, or to other people, you can also spread the virus to other people, and that's how it becomes worse. So yeah, and also to avoid that, you probably should not go to crowded places, because you are more likely to come into close contact with someone that has the virus, and it's way more difficult to maintain a physical distance of 1 meter. And also, when you are outside, you should obviously wear a mask, as Thavan has said earlier, and avoid touching your face, because some surfaces can have the virus as well. So if you touch a surface that may be contaminated with the virus, you can actually transfer the virus to your eyes, nose, or mouth. And from there, the virus can in fact enter your body and infect you. So you just have to make sure that yourself and also the people around you just keep their distance, follow the hygiene, and yeah, that's all.
So we've heard all these precaution steps, all these ways that we should prevent the mask, and I think the most crucial point of this prevention part is, of course, wearing the mask itself. So there are a lot of masks, and the amount of masks that we have to face in our lives is actually increasing so quickly. But what are your thoughts about how people avoiding, even though it has been strictly stated that you should wear a mask or do the steps, uh, you should do these precaution steps. What do you think about the people that avoid this? these precaution steps and don't want to follow these precaution steps that have been sanctioned by the authority?
Well, to me, I've seen some people, they think that this virus is a hoax meant to scare them by the government. So they just think that the virus is nothing but a fake news, or it's just harmless. So that is why they're not really wearing a mask. And also some of them, they even make fun of the virus by, as if you should know that some influencers, they just make fun of the virus. As there was one challenge where this so-called influencer made a video of him licking a toilet bowl, which was pretty inhumane of him. I do not know why he did that. And in the end, he himself got the virus. He was tested positive for the virus. And I guess he should be regretting his choices right now. And some people, they use religion to talk bad about the virus. They say like God will destroy the virus or something, but in short, we just have to stay safe and not think of the virus as some kind of a story that you can just simply tell, when actually the virus is actually a dangerous thing that can kill you if you're not careful enough. And yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you that we are extremely lucky, so far until now, that we don't have this virus, and I'm 100% sure that it's all because of the precaution steps and the measures taken by the authority and also by us as well. We had been following the rules as well, so we're extremely thankful to all those people who really work hard to prevent this virus as well. So moving on to the global level, or we have been talking about how this virus has been handled here in Malaysia and how it's spread here in Malaysia. But we have to look also globally, where we have seen countries such as United States, India have drastically increased the cases. The number of cases have increased drastically. And what are the reasons and why this number of cases starts to increase in this big name players globally? Why is that so? I would like to ask this question to Nhavin. Nhavin here.
Yeah. So in these countries, the cases recently has blown up, and one of the reasons is because they were lack of information at the beginning. Everyone will take this as a joke from the government and to the people, and by the time they actually realize how extreme these cases are, this virus is, it's already too late. Just as of 21st of July, for example, as of 21st of July, the United States received about 63,000 new cases. Yeah, this shows how unprepared they are, and one of the reasons is because they are not so how do you say it?
Even
They just
ready
don't
enough.
listen. Yeah, they are just not ready enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have seen in movies where superheroes emerge from United States and they prevent world-ending situations. I hope these superheroes starts to emerge, but over there as well. But I mean, I think mainly because of the ignorance of the people, the carelessness of the people, and also we have to mention the authority or the government didn't play a big role in handling this pandemic properly. So, and also moving on, I have to ask you, Navin, that we have seen the number of cases increase so drastically, but still, people still don't, they just ignore this. And we have seen protests over in United States. There have been some big issue going around, where protests are taking place. What are your thoughts about that? Why do people take importance over something, over their rights and not the health? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are the protests are not wrong because that's one of the best ways for the people to actually express their feelings towards the government. But it's just that at this point of time when this pandemic is going on, I just feel it's the wrong time show to show your feelings by protesting. It's just the wrong time because it goes against all the restrictions that we are supposed to follow, which is the 1 meter gap, 6 feet gap. Yeah, it just goes everything just goes against the things that we have to follow.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And I forgot to ask you just now that how we have seen how these countries have handled this pandemic poorly, but of course, we as people, we need help as well from the authorities or from the government. So here, let's come back to Malaysia, where we have seen the government have provided so many facilities and helped people during this pandemic. Can you share some of these? Some of the ways that the government have helped us and during this pandemic.
Yeah. Okay. So the Malaysian government has helped the Malaysians in many ways, but two of the most popular among the Malaysians are the discounts given on the electricity bill. The rate of discount is 15% for the hotels, travel agency, domestic airlines, shopping malls, convention centers, and theme parks. 2% discount for the industrial, commercial, and simplified agricultural sectors. And for the households, it ranges from 2% to 50%. And this range is based on your total family income. The lower the income are, the more the percentage is. And the second one that is popular among the Malaysians are the bonuses that's given to the employee. For it, the government gives you around 600 to 1,200 ringgit per month for each local employee who earns a salary of 4,000 ringgit or less. Yeah.
So we have seen all these benefits that the government, have worked really hard to provide us, and of course, we are extremely grateful for that. Of course, I think we should go back to this global issue in other countries as well. We have seen not only United States, also in America. I'm sorry, in India, where the number of cases has also increased quite significantly. And we have seen also China, where the virus originated from, the cases actually starts to slowly drop. And what do you think? What do you think? Why this situation actually occurred? Why it actually happened?
Okay, so the difference between these countries are the way they react. For China, their reaction rate was very fast. Within the first few cases, they already had the restrictions going on, and China people actually follows. Whereas for the US and India, they just don't to be seen bothered about it. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we have to say as well the carelessness of the people, as of course being the main factor, also one of the factors on how this virus actually started to increase in those countries. But of course, coming to the opposite side, we have seen some unbelievable countries that taken this situation so well, and of course they have started to see the positive outcomes that they have reaped from this from their actions. For example, we have seen the countries like New Zealand and Vietnam. And so, what are your thoughts about those countries that have taken actions? What are the actions that they have taken, which benefited them hugely in handling this pandemic?
Okay, as I said before, it's just based on how fast do you react. Well, countries like New Zealand, they reacted actually very fast. Within the first few cases, they started doing their restrictions movement order, and the people actually listens to them. So this just shows that the New Zealand people actually cooperates with the government perfectly until there's no cases in New Zealand.
Okay, so it's really, really unbelievable that these countries, these small countries, have taken this issue so and handle it so beautifully. So we have seen these countries that have worked together, where the authorities and the people work together and completely help in the prevention of this coronavirus. So we have talked about some of the issues that how this virus came by and what are the symptoms, how it spreads, and we have learned a lot of new information. Of course, this information has been shared around, but just to recall everything once again, because we should remember. I mean, we won't forget this pandemic that happened to all of us. So I hope you're all, everyone who took time to listen to this podcast. I'd like to say thanks and thank you for listening. And we will continue again with the next episode in this series where we will focus on more the economic side during this pandemic. I hope you're all doing well. Please take care, stay safe, and goodbye.